This is how to get all achievements in Secret of the Mimic. Obvious spoiler warning, this is going to be divided up in the segments so that if you're just looking for something specific, you can find it. I'm also going to be covering this pretty linearly, so if maybe an ending is one of the achievements you haven't gotten yet, it won't spoil anything. Also, if you're wondering why the collectibles are split up into different segments, some of them are located in one of the endings, and you cannot backtrack, and once you've completed it, it forces you to reset your save. So I would strongly suggest saving all of those until the end and make sure you've gotten the ones from the main area before you go there. First of all, I'm going to be covering all of the achievements you get from just progressing the game. The first one is Ollie Ollie Oxen Free, and it's just beating Jackie's section. Next is Tickets Please. You have to go through the Big Top section. Aye Captain, you just have to make it through the Showtime thing with Foxy and all them. Technician, you get this from repairing the elevators. Doctor's Orders is just surviving the Dolly area. Executive Permission is getting the top level Data Diver after beating the Chica section. Fundophobia is making it through the dark area thing. I honestly don't know what to call this place. I don't like it. I hate this section of the game. That is the end of the progression. I suggest that you don't do any of the endings yet, which I just suggest don't go into the security office where the dispatcher's calling you. It doesn't automatically start it, but I wouldn't risk it. Instead, now that you have the top level Data Diver access, I think you should go around and do all the other achievements because it's going to be a lot easier than having to play through the entire game again. Now I'm going to be covering a lot of the miscellaneous achievements. Most of these are kind of easy, some of them are a little harder to get. I don't really know how to categorize them. First up is non-zero chance. It's getting jump scared. You've probably gotten this. Pew Pew is once you get one of the guns from the minigame area with Big Top, you just shoot Mr. Helpful. Dental coverage is just beating the minigame where you hit the clown's teeth. You just get all of the teeth before the timer runs out. It's really not that hard. While we're talking about this clown, you can also hit its nose in order to get another achievement, Boop. And also, by the way, you can come back to these minigames at any point you want. All you have to do to activate it is just pull the lever before it and then do the lava flow minigame thing. There's a few achievements which kind of go hand in hand with the collectibles, which I'll probably just be covering those with the collectibles. So I am going to be skipping over a couple of the achievements and coming back to them later. The next achievement is We Have a Winner. In order to get this, you have to just get high scores on each of the minigames. What you have to do is meet the winning score requirement that it shows, and you have to do that for all of the minigames in the Big Top area. And then after you do that, keep a gun, then go to the warehouse. If you've already beaten the warehouse section, then you just go up to the trolley ride and it's already gonna be like moving up and down. If you haven't beaten the section, then finish it and the trolley will start moving on its own. When it pops out at the top, you can hop off of the ride. When you go up the stairs, there's gonna be another clown minigame where you can hit teeth again. This is also an area for a collectible, but I thought I'd mention it with this as well. Go ahead and get the collectible now, or you can come back here. The final location, if you're following the progression, after you get through the warehouse and beat the crane section, you make your way to where this elevator is, ride it down, and then instead of going to the administrative area, you go to the right and open this garage door. Once you're in here, you make a left and then another left, and then there is another target minigame. This is what you need the gun for, and this is the only time I'm gonna mention the collectibles in a different section. I will revisit it later. Once you complete this, it does give you a collectible. There's no point in not just getting it now. That is it for the miscellaneous achievements, at least without diving into collectibles. Now let's go over all the collectible locations. Keep in mind, for the collectibles and the text and audio logs, you can't die, otherwise you will lose your progress. If you reach a save point, then it obviously will save, but since you can't choose a save point, you have to be really careful after getting a text or audio log. Just be on the lookout for the saving icon in the bottom right of your screen and try to stay out of danger until it saves. Also, I don't know why you wouldn't do this, but you put the collectibles inside of these machines that are all around the facility and it holds them in storage for you. Also, last thing before we start, in the pinned comments, I'm going to leave the name of every present and text log, as well as the timestamps for each one. The reason I'm not mentioning this in the video is because this is already taking forever, and it'd also just be a lot easier to do in text form. This way, if you're missing anything specific that you want to get really quickly, then It'll make the process a lot easier because you can just go in either the collectible list or in your logs list and see which ones you're missing. For the presents, the first one is right after you walk in. You make your way down here, walk to the left, and then there's going to be a present with Roxy's hat. The second one is just past your first encounter with the Mimic. You open this door and there's a present right there. The third one is right before you meet Jackie, and it's just sitting inside this room next to the data driver upgrade. The fourth one is in Jackie's room. For this one, you just go left of Jackie's box. You go inside this wooden castle thing. There's a collectible sitting inside. The fifth collectible is in the welcome room. You have to come and get this later because otherwise it's blocked off. Once you're instructed to go back there in the story, this area unlocks where you can go past this elevator thing and you can go behind the stage where there's a present. The sixth one is right after elevator repair. You crawl through this little crawl space and then drop down where there's a present right in front of you. The seventh collectible is in the big top area. However, instead of going towards the mini games, you actually go right. You open this room. You might have noticed that there's actually a door in here. If you're coming here at the end of the game, then you'll have access to this, but if you're doing this in like New Game Plus or something, you can finish the minigame section, and before you activate the chase, you'll notice there's an upgrade, and you can come back here with your upgraded data diver and open the door where there's a collectible. Now after that, you'll notice that there's this keypad on the wall. The code for the door is 4782. It is the same for everyone. And once you open the store, you'll notice there are some blocks in front of you with a bunch of different numbers, and the green blocks actually spell out a code, 0434. Now with this code, you have to go to the left of these blocks into this section where Jackie's box used to be, and now there's a hole with a vent there. You crawl through this, and you have to survive another encounter with the Mimic, but once you make it past him, you find another door, put in this code 0434, and inside is a collectible. There's also some levers here, but I never figured out what they did. Someone let me know, I guess. The next collectible is actually behind one of the mini games in Big Top's area. This is also how you get the Good Night Sleep Tight achievement. What you have to do is you have to hit all of this clown's teeth, let it rotate, and then hit as many teeth as you want, really. Then you go behind the counter into the clown's mouth, out the other side, and then on the other side there's a door. With this, you have to go into the section behind the stairway. The other way doesn't have anything, which leads you into an area with another Mimic encounter, because you have to have a million of these things. For this, I just baited out the Mimic, went down, activated the generator, baited out the Mimic again, went back up, pulled the lever, baited him out again, went down, and then it led into this area. What you have to do is you have to flip this switch, go over here, press this button. Then you have to make your way behind the section with all the clouds and stuff, make your way up the elevator, and then access this terminal where you open the staff room. Also, I would suggest go ahead and getting the audio log here so you don't have to later. I suggest coming here with pretty high level clearance because it's just easier to get both of these collectibles at once. The first collectible is to the right, where you only need the third level of clearance. You just have to make your way through this little vent, and then there's a present. The other one is to the left. You just have to have the fourth level of clearance, and inside is a present. The next present is after you beat all the minigames in Big Top, and it's right at the top. I'm sure most people have gotten this because it's right in your face. The next one is directly to the right of that present. You can only access this area once you've gotten the fourth level of clearance, but once you open the door, the present's just right there. The next present is all the way back at the start. Then you have to go back to this little cross-section area where there's a door with a code. That code is 26294. Once you go inside this area, you have to make your way all the way through to this door, which you need the fourth level of security clearance for, and inside there's a present, as well as a little crank so that you can come back here whenever you want. Then you can come back here where there's another door that needs the fourth level of clearance, and inside's just another present. The next present is inside the theater. From the last present, basically go just behind you. There's a door in which you have to go solve this puzzle, which will spawn in a Mimic encounter. You have to go past where he spawns into this vent, and then you gain access to the theater. This is where you can view all the tapes that you might find around the place, although these tapes don't actually contribute to anything. You make your way over to this room, which only needs the second level of security clearance, and inside has a present and a text log if you wanted to knock that out while you're at it. For the next present, you have to get the 5th level of security clearance. Then, through your theater access, you have to take this shortcut back into this crane area. Then you have to make a bridge that's long enough to reach the present from the other side. Make your way down, go to the other side, ride up this elevator, get out, and then make your way across this bridge to get the present. Next is an area that you can also access from the theater. I suggest going on this path just because it's an easier way to get there. You make your way past all the debris from earlier, and there's this rotting corpse holding a present nicely for you. There's also a text log here if you want to knock that out the way. Back in the area where you get progress for the We Have a Winner badge, you ride up the trolley again. After you hop out and make your way to the minigame, you knock out some of the clown's teeth, head through the vent, and then on the other side, go along these catwalks until you get to the present and get your collectible. Another present right next to this is actually inside of the crane area. All you have to do is align the pieces to make a path towards the present, and then you can grab it. After the crane area, you can make your way to the left where you can get above the welcome area. You make your way around this other dead body and grab another present. The next present, if you have skipped ahead to this part, is after you beat the 4th minigame for the We Have a Winner badge. All you have to do is just beat the game, and then it gives you a present. In order to beat the game, you have to grab a space gun from the other minigames and then come down here. The next present is in the worst section of the game. What you have to do is go forward to the left again, where you'll find this door. There's another code that you have to enter to get here. The code is 01350. Inside of here is a present, and this is also how you get the Belated Birthday badge. The third last present is also how you get the Pleasant Dreams achievement. Make your way back to the welcome area, into the lobby, up the stairs, and then there's going to be this door that requires max level security. In this area, there's a lot of stuff. Across the area, there's like a bunch of TVs to look at, and then there's also some text log that tell you the order in which they go in, but it's the same code every time. The code is all the way at the back of the area, and the code is 80625. And once you enter this elevator, you'll be brought down to this weird section with Moon. At least I think that's what he's called. I'm not sure. But in order to get this collectible, you have to complete the entire section where you bring the star plushie around. I'm not going to go too in depth on it because you can mostly just figure it out on your own. Just know that the wires lead to each of the pieces of the puzzle, as well as each of the pedestals that you need to open each of the doors for them. Once you complete the puzzle, it unlocks this little back area where you can get the present. If you want to go ahead and store this collectible, I suggest that you take the star thing, put it on the pedestal next to this door, and then go inside and put it in the machine. While you're here, I also suggest that you go ahead and get the text log so that you don't have to come back here ever again. That is all of the presents from before the endings, so now it's time to get into the text log. The first one is at the very start. Before you do anything, you just go straight left. Next to the entrance of the place, there is this mailbox. The next mailbox is after you go inside, right after the welcome show, and you go through this door. There's a mailbox. Pretty hard to miss. The second mailbox is after your first encounter with the Mimic. It is directly next to this present. The next mailbox is again through the crawl space. If you're using the same save, this section is actually open. You don't have to go back through the crawl space, but it is right next to this present. The next mailbox is in the showroom lobby. It is directly to the right of Mr. Helpful behind this counter. The next one's in the theater next to the present. After that, the next mailbox is in the workshop, which is directly in front of you, a little bit to the left. After you've activated the area, the first one is all the way down and to the left. After that, you want to head upstairs, and once you pass the area where you lower the head, there's a mailbox waiting behind this counter. Then you want to make your way to this other area where one of the pieces are behind a gate, and there's a mailbox sitting next to this locker. After you make your way backstage, there's a mailbox sitting next to all these machines and an audio log. And then after you head through the vent, if you go behind the pad that you stand on with the suit, there's a mailbox hiding away behind it. Once you make your way into the doll hospital and you go directly to the right, there's a mailbox waiting right next to this jackhammer noisemaker thing. After you make your way into this main room, with the terminal, there's another mailbox to the right next to these machines. And then inside of the scrap area, there's a mailbox over here next to this door that only Dolly can get through. The final mailbox for this section is through this vent right next to the security upgrade. Once you make your way out of this section, now that you have higher level data diver access, you can make your way where the Foxy show played before, and you can make your way past the rubble to the mailbox next to the present from before. In the crane section, directly to the left of the crane control, there's another mailbox. After you complete this section, go through the door, head to the right, and in this room, there is an audio log as well as another mailbox. Once you're done with that, head out, make your way all the way to the end of the hallway, and there's another mailbox all the way down there. Then make your way all the way back, go inside this door, head down the elevator, go back outside where the last minigame was, but instead of going to the left, this time you go to the right, and there's a mailbox all the way at the end. Then you make your way back where you need to go for progression, but right before you head through the admin door, there is a mailbox to your right. Then once you're inside of the Chica area, there are quite a few mailboxes here. The first one is a little bit forward and directly to your right. Once you make your way to the left, right next to the door code, there is a mailbox. And then the next one is right next to it, behind you, in this little closed off section. The next one is after you make your way through here, and it is all the way at the end in this little corner. Once you're done with that, you make your way through this hallway all the way to the end where this door is. Inside of here is just a mailbox. Once you make your way outside, you head to the left, and in this corner, hidden away by the staircase, there's a mailbox. This one's pretty risky to get, so play this very carefully. And once you make it past that, once you go to the other end past the staircase, there's another mailbox kind of hiding off to the side. Once you're done, you can finally head up the staircase, and you are safe from Chica for now. However, the mailboxes are not done yet. Right behind Mrs. Helpful over here, there's another mailbox. And then right before the vent, there's another one. And right next to the upgrade machine, there is another one. Once you make your way through the top level access room, right next to the computer, there is another one. Skipping ahead a bit, I know that was a huge cluster of them. Once you make your way to the tunnels, there's a mailbox right before you head down into the dark area. Once you're done with the tunnels, on the other side, there is a mailbox kind of hidden away right here. Once you're done with that, now that you have the top level access, you can make your way into this secret area, which if you've skipped ahead, the code for this is 26294. Once you make your way past all the doors, at the very end there's going to be a bathroom that requires the top level access to get in, and inside is a singular mailbox. Once you exit, you can make your way over here, where there's this door that only needs the 5th level access, and inside is both a mailbox and an audio log. Now that you've got that, you can make your way back to the welcome room, into this main lobby, and back to this little shop area. Now over here, there's a mailbox right next to the door with the code, and if you're skipping ahead, the code for this door is 80625. And then there's yet another one all the way down in the basement. You actually don't need to do any of the puzzle to get here, you just need to take the star plushie and then put it on the pedestal with the door. It's just annoying to get down here, which is why I suggested doing that earlier. The mailbox is directly inside the room, and that is it for before the ending. Now, audio logs. These are the bane of my existence. I don't know what they were thinking not having a way to track these. I suggest only starting to do these audio logs once you, 1, get highest level clearance, and 2, get the secret ending. You can get the ones around the facility without the secret ending, but once you do go into the ending area, I really suggest having all the collectibles and unlocking the secret ending so that you can go ahead and just get the audio logs there and you don't have to play the whole game again. Since there's no way of tracking which ones you don't have, it's just easier to be able to do everything in one go. And when you have the highest level access, there's a lot more places you can go to like get away from any danger, and there's a lot less scripted danger. The first one is located in the big top area next to this machine. The second one is in the area that you need to knock the clown teeth out to get to, up the elevator, and in this corner next to the machine to activate the door. The third is after the area where you get your prize from getting the jackpot. Right before you would normally enter the big top chase, there is an audio log on the wall. The next audio log is in the theater, right across from the room where you watch the tapes, there's like a sound room where there's an audio log just sitting on these things. I don't know, what do you even call these? Then after that, you can make your way into the workshop, where in the room where you activate the spring lock suit, there's an audio log kind of just sitting on this couch. In the backstage area, in this room with the text log from earlier, as well as a machine and stuff, there is another audio log. Back in the returns area, there's another audio log just past the text log from before. Then in the crane area, just before you head up the stairs, there's another audio log on the wall. After you make your way through that, you can go to the right. Inside this room, there's an audio log. After you do that, you can make your way into this door, go on these little catwalks, head inside this store, and at the end, there is another audio log. Inside the admin wing, in this little room that's completely safe from Chica, thankfully, there's another audio log next to this computer. Then in the executive room, after you get your final upgrade, there's an audio log right next to the computer. Right after you get out of that room and before you go into the tunnels, there's an audio log right next to this elevator. Then inside the tunnels, there's an audio log right before you go into the dark area. Then inside of the dark area, there's somewhat of a hidden audio log. If you play the game normally up until this lever here and you go right and then look down the hallway, you'll notice there's two different paths. The path on the right, if the tiger guy isn't blocking your way, you'll notice there's a light illuminating another tunnel that goes off to the right. Now you can't actually go through this until you have the next plushie, but once you get the plushie and come back here, you can go through the vent, and on the other side, there's this secret room with an audio log inside of it. At this point, there are no more audio logs out of the main area. Everything else is in the ending area. Now, it is time to get into the ending. The first ending, which is the easiest, is simply following the instructions and putting the data driver into the machine like the dispatch tells you to. Then you just follow instructions and you get the ending. The second ending is running the parachute program instead of listening. You get to go down into this vent, head through this little crawl space. Once you make your way to the end, you will be back in the welcome room. However, instead, you have to run the goodbye program. Then you press this button, make your way down this elevator where there's all these levers. Just pull these whenever they go off. Then once you make your way to the bottom, you open a couple doors, activate a generator, and then you make it into this section with the mimic. For this section, all you need to do is rotate these cranks, which opens the curtains for these spring lock suits. You need to enter these, which gives you full protection from the mimic. However, you have to bring them in front of these cameras that bring the doors down, which actually unlocks these other doors, which you can use to sneak by, get inside these two suits, and position them outside the door. Once you do this, you will meet Fiona. She'll talk to you for a bit. You have to make your way down here. Then you hop on this cart, go on a little ride, hop out, go on this elevator, and make your way through a couple tunnels where eventually you'll get to this house section. It seems a bit complicated, but it's not actually. What you need to do is you need to get 5 different tapes. The first one is directly to your right inside this kitchen. You need to go all the way back here. This is also the first tape for the code, which there are numbers at the end of each tape. The second tape is all the way at the end of the hallway, to the left, inside this room, and it's behind this weird little table thing. I don't know what's on top. Now, this is actually the third tape. The second tape is a little bit past that, however, it is to the right this time. You have to go through this event. On the other side, there will be another safe with the second tape. The fourth tape is upstairs. You have to go directly in front of where the stairs are, and there's another safe. And last but not least, the fifth tape is to the left of the staircase in the first room that you find on the left. Once you get all these tapes, you have a code which you put into the door, and then you're done with this section. When you get done with this section, you have to make your way up to a computer, open this door, run another program in which you ensue a chase sequence. Once you finish the chase sequence, you are done. That is the second ending. Along this ending, you get quite a few achievements. The first one is the parachute achievement. Second one is think positive. And then the third one is unfinished business, which is the ending achievement. The master adventurer achievement. This is what you get for beating the moon minigame. I'm not going to be going too in depth on this because you can just experiment and not really have any repercussions. Whenever you die in the moon minigame, you keep all of your progress as far as I've seen. You have to make sure that you have all the collectibles before you do this. this. After you do this, you get another upgrade to your data driver, which allows you to unlock extra doors in the secret ending. Behind these doors are different, like, tape things, except for one room, which is where you put them. Once you get all 6 of these, all of them are through these little glitch doors. Once you get all of them, you have to get the white tiger plushie out of your storage. Then you have to make your way through this vent down into this very FNAF 4 looking room, put it on this pedestal, and then play a minigame. As you can see on the right, there are a bunch of banners that tell you the order in which you need to press the button. Keep in mind, you have to do this really quickly, so make sure you have it down when you do this. Once you activate the minigame, the mimic will come out. You have to do a bunch of these QuickTime events. Other than that though, this ending is pretty straightforward. Assuming you did it last, which I would hope you did, this is gonna be fairly easy to get. This gives you the Storytime achievement. Now it's time to dive into the in-game collectibles. The second last present is found in this ending. I'm just gonna call it the secret ending. You have to go upstairs, make your way to the left, and inside of the very far room, there's going to be a present with the last collectible that you can get in a single run. The last collectible is actually only available in New Game Plus, and it's in the security office. It's just right there, right next to the machine, pretty easy to get. Once you've deposited this should get you the Memorabilia achievement. As for the text logs, inside of this FNAF 1 area, there's a mailbox inside the kitchen. It's right before you leave the room. Then after that, once you make your way to Fiona's room, go all the way down, there is a mailbox waiting right in front of you. Then all that's left is right after you finish the house section. The code is different every single time, so you do have to watch all the tapes. Input the code, make your way up here, and then there's a mailbox right next to the terminal. That is it for the text logs. And as for the audio log, the first one in this end section is past one of the Springlock suits inside this room that you need your data diver to get into, and the audio log is going to be sitting on the wall. This is the last one that I needed because I actually had gotten this one before, but I died, and then I just didn't really see the point in going in the room anymore. So that's why it's important to make sure that you don't die after you get them, because you'll be going on a wild goose chase, not knowing that the last one you need is one that you've already pressed. After that, you can actually use the suit, put it in front of the door, and then go inside the bathroom area, where there's another audio log. Then just before you make your way into the cart ride, there is another audio log on this table. Once you make your way into the house section, there's an audio log right in front of this vent in the first room to the left. Then inside of this glitch room, where you get one of the set tape things, there's an audio log right next to it. On the glitch door directly to the right of the staircase, there is another audio log just sitting on this table. And finally, once you input the code to progress the story, when you go upstairs, there is another audio log right next to the terminal. And that should be all of the audio logs. Out of all of these achievements, the hardest one is 100% the audio logs. The fact that there's no way of knowing what you're missing, it just makes it so much worse. That is it for the video. I don't personally know any of these people, but I would like to thank the Game Archivist, Lunar Gaming, and Table Croissants for making this so much easier to make. The first two made videos on all 25 present locations and all 40 text log locations, and from the future, the Lunar Gaming channel also made an all audio logs video after I initially started making this video. If you've noticed, I did kind of use their order for stuff, but if I went and did all that myself, trying to combine that into one video, that would take forever. Table Croissants made a Steam guide, which made it quite a bit easier to kind of structure the video and also know exactly what I'm talking about. All of those will be linked in the description, especially the Steam guide if you want to read through this instead. That's all for the video. I never want to make an all locations video again. My goodness, that was a lot to edit. Thank you for watching, and Shadows out.